Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
This is your coffee break on HANradio.com.
It's Monday, June 1st, and this is your coffee break on HANradio.com and streaming at HANradio.com/livestream. I'm Kate Czaplinski. We're in the New Canaan office today with our crew. John Kovach couldn't be here. I think he's live tweeting a conference call right now.
Yeah, wait, I thought, don't we normally make stuff up? We don't actually give the real reason why someone's
not here.
not here.
So Don Eng is helping me co-host today. Don, it's been a while since the two of us have had co-hosting duties at the same time.
Yeah, I think the latent hostility that simmers
Right.
between us probably was part of the reason why we don't do
Yeah.
it more often. But,
I mean, I
always
did
fun.
get a court order for that, but I mean, it's fine. Whatever. We'll violate it today. So, Don, it's a little cold for June 1st.
It sure is, and it's going to stay that way. Showers, possibly thunderstorms throughout the day today. Highs only in the 50s. The rain could be heavy at times. More of the same tonight and tomorrow night before it finally clears out on Wednesday. Basically, tomorrow high right around 60, dropping into the 50s again. And so not great news to look forward to weather-wise, but, it has been kind of dry, so that all should change now. Right now, it is 53 degrees outside our New Canaan coffee room, 54 degrees in Fairfield, 53 in Ridgefield, and the coffee break time is 11:03.
Thanks, Don. Well, getting to some news this morning, a Bridgeport man accused of flashing women in Stratford and Milford was arrested Saturday by Stratford police. David Lynch, who's 23 years old, surrendered to Stratford officers on Saturday and faces 3 charges of breach of peace. Police said an officer stopped Lynch on May 22nd as he and his vehicle matched the description of recent exposure incidents in Milford and Stratford. Police had reported recently that a man had exposed himself to 3 women in Stratford in separate incidents, and investigators worked together to identify a suspect. Lynch was released on bond and is scheduled to appear June 3rd in Bridgeport Superior Court. Coffee break time is 11:04.
The Connecticut State Police joined the National Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force for Operation Broken Heart 2, targeting child predators. A Milford man was charged with possessing and sharing child pornography during that investigation. Operation Broken Heart 2 is a 2-month-long investigative effort of the 61 coordinated task forces across the U.S., including the Connecticut State Police Computer Crimes Unit and affiliated agencies. That represents more than 3,300 federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, according to officials. The investigation led to 5 arrests so far, including Paulo Sassano, 57 years old, of Wheelers Farm Road in Milford. Sassano was charged with promoting a minor in obscene performance and illegal possession of child pornography. According to a police report, last October, the Connecticut State Police Computer Crime Unit began investigating the sharing of child pornography over the Internet. An investigation traced the Internet activity to a house at 903 Wheelers Farm Road, the report states. In December, the Computer Crimes Unit and the Milford Police Department executed a search warrant at the home, and Sassano was developed as a suspect. The report says several items of evidentiary value were seized from the residence. Troopers conducted a preview of the seized items and located files of suspected child pornography. Sassano turned himself into police in Bethany May 18th. He was held on a court-set bond of $150,000 and taken to Milford Superior Court for arraignment. Law enforcement officials said the goal of this effort is to arrest as many offenders as possible who, 1, possess, manufacture, and distribute child pornography, engage in online enticement of children for sexual purposes, engage in the commercial sexual exploitation of children, engage in child sex tourism, which is defined as traveling abroad for the purpose of sexually abusing foreign children, and for community education. Targeting child predators is a priority for the State Police Computer Crimes Unit, said Sergeant Kevin Albanese. Detectives involved in child predator cases are meticulous in their investigations, which often take many months to conclude. Arresting even just one predator can make a world of difference in the lives of children. Coffee break time is 11:06.
Thanks, Don. Well, legislative leaders struck a tax deal with Governor Malloy's administration moments before midnight Saturday, setting the stage for action today on a biennium budget that would raise taxes on the wealthy and business while funding property tax relief and transportation, according to the Connecticut Mirror. The top marginal income tax rate would increase to 6.99% on individuals earning $500,000 and couples earning $1 million, but a proposed 2% surcharge on capital gains was discarded. A legislative plan to extend the sales tax to a wide array of business services was largely shelved, but the tax on data processing services would triple to 3%. The total sales tax would remain at 6.35%, but 0.5% would be dedicated to the governor's transportation infrastructure program, and 0.5% would be used for property tax relief program championed by legislative leaders. The Connecticut Lottery would be authorized to offer Keno, an electronic drawing game, in restaurants, bars, and some retail outlets. But Joseph Brennan, the president of the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, said he feared the improvements over the revenue package reported out of Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee were not nearly enough. He said just because it's not as bad doesn't mean it's good. The tripling of the tax on data processes service would be a blow to the bottom lines of corporations and the business reputation of the state, he said. Military retirees will get a major tax break. The 50% income tax exemption on their pensions would double to 100%, and cigarette smokers will be spared from their fourth cigarette tax in recent years. The governor retreated from his call for price deregulation in the retail liquor business, but the administration prevailed on longer hours for package stores and greater chain ownership. Package stores could remain open an additional hour every day until 10 o'clock on weeknights and Saturdays, and to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Chains, now restricted to 3 package store permits, could own as many as 5. Malloy had asked for a limit of 6. The spending plan was largely resolved in recent days. Then negotiations turned to resolving a revenue package. Full details on the spending side of the budget were not readily available, according to the Connecticut Mirror. The spending and tax packages will be presented in one bill, which will start in the House on Monday and then go to the Senate. Coffee break time is 11:09.
Now, I didn't realize that you're restricted to only having 3 package store permits, and now you can own as many as 5, and of course the additional hour, 10 o'clock. So
could make a huge difference in a lot of our lives.
A lot of lives. Yes, the journalistic packy run after the office is closed. The Connecticut House late this weekend overwhelmingly approved a sweeping set of rules governing the swiftly growing ride-for-hire companies such as Uber and Lyft. The legislation, which now goes to the state Senate for consideration, requires drivers for app-based ride-sharing networks to have insurance and to submit to background checks. The vehicles used to transport passengers must undergo regular inspections. The detailed bill was one of the most heavily lobbied of the legislative session, with Uber, the largest of the ride-sharing firms, pushing back aggressively against traditional taxi and livery companies who are subject to a host of regulations. Representative Tony Guerrera noted that Uber was expanding dramatically in Connecticut since arriving in the state just over a year ago. He said, "We felt as though we needed to regulate them in some shape or form to make sure that people who are using it are safe. This bill does that." The bill was approved by a vote of 133 to 9, and many lawmakers went out of their way to praise the ride-sharing networks as cutting-edge firms who are revolutionizing the business of taxiing customers. People in this state who are young and who don't have a car, who are older and can no longer drive, who are disabled and can't drive, or who simply don't want to have a car, can use these services quickly, easily, and conveniently, said Representative Gail Lavielle. "I think it's the way of the future." With all of its success, Uber has suffered some high-profile setbacks. The company has faced questions about its efforts to safeguard the private information of riders, its compliance with laws protecting the rights of people with disabilities, and a host of safety concerns. The bill stipulates that people who have been convicted of an act of violence or terror are barred from driving for ride-sharing companies for a period of 7 years. Representative Tom O'Day of New Canaan said the bill addresses many of the concerns raised by Uber's 21st century business model. "Right now, Uber and any ride-sharing company is unregulated," he said, "so our options are to pass this bill to regulate them or to leave them unregulated." O'Day added, "I promise you that this bill will impact the safety of our residents over the next 12 months, potentially more than any other bill that comes before us. Coffee break time is 11:11.
Thanks, Don. Well, Don, we had kind of a tough time getting here today, going south on Route 15.
Oh man, it is amazing, and you're thinking to yourself. And you're thinking to yourself, it's
something.
Well, you're thinking not only that, but you're thinking it's 9:30. Why aren't people at work?
I know.
And of course, they're looking at us and probably saying the same thing.
Exactly.
Why aren't you at work?
So, is it still bad out there, or has anything changed?
It's not as bad right now. There was an earlier tree down that closed the Merritt Parkway in Stamford for about an hour. That has been cleared. Other than that, we have roadwork in Newtown 84 eastbound at exit 7. That's going on until 3 o'clock today. The left lane closed. Also, Danbury, I-84 eastbound at exit 9 until 3 o'clock. The left lane closed there also. And then as far as the weather goes, take a look out the window. You're going to have this pretty much all day. Showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. Highs only in the 50s. And the rain could be heavy at times. That rain showers and storms will continue into tonight and tomorrow night. And then it finally clears out with a sunny day on Wednesday. Temperatures getting back into the 70s. So the much-needed rain is here, and now, of course, I kind of wish it was sunny. So that's just the way it's going to go.
All right. Well, when we come back, Don's going to give us a look back on this day in history, and Rob's going to be joining us for sports. So all that's coming up on your coffee break on HANradio.com.
Your child has fallen and broken his arm. You need to see an orthopedist fast. Think Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Don't wait hours in the ER. Save a trip and money by going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care in Norwalk. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
It's 11:15 on your coffee break on HANradio.com and streaming on the Hersam Acorn Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with Don Eng, Rob Adams hanging out, and the rest of our crew helping today because we are live in New Canaan hanging out. Right?
Broadcasting coffee break from the actual coffee break.
Well, I know
room.
we're going to get to Rob later, but Rob, we were here initially for baseball today, but that's not happening.
No, it doesn't appear to be happening, although we have no confirmation yet, so I'll let you know.
Keeping an eye on that. But first, Don, going to throw it to you for a look back on this day in history.
Busy day as always, including a momentous baseball moment. But first, we go to 1660, when Mary Dyer hanged for defying a law in Massachusetts that banned Quakers from the colony. 1812, U.S. President James Madison asks Congress to declare war on Great Britain. The U.S. did declare war on June 18th for a number of reasons, including trade restrictions brought about by the British war with France, the impressment of American sailors into the Royal Navy, and British support of Indian tribes against American expansion. The Americans were also interested in annexing British territory, which is modern-day Canada, because Britain was also fighting the Napoleonic Wars at this time. They waged a defensive war, and the U.S. was never able to get any kind of territorial gains out of it. 1813, in the War of 1812, James Lawrence, mortally wounded commander of the USS Chesapeake, gives his final order: "Don't give up the ship." He left port on June 1st, today, and was immediately engaged by the blockading Royal Navy ship HMS Shannon. Although slightly smaller, the British ship disabled Chesapeake with gunfire. Lawrence, mortally wounded by small arms fire, ordered his officers, "Don't give up the ship, fight her till she sinks." Lawrence would die of his wounds a few days later, but his friend and fellow officer Oliver Hazard Perry ordered a large blue battle ensign stitched with the phrase "Don't give up the ship" in bold white letters. The so-called Perry flag is now displayed at the Naval Academy Museum, and a replica is at the Memorial Hall in the U.S. at the U.S. Naval Academy. 1867, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles is released. Apologies for not having audio. I went a different direction, but it was the 8th studio album by the band, an immediate success, spending 27 weeks at the top of the albums chart in the UK and 15 weeks at number 1 in the US. Time magazine declared it a historic departure in the progress of music, and it was also praised as elevating pop to the level of fine art.
No, wait a minute. It wasn't 20 years ago today?
It was not 20 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they still know how to play.
Yes, Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play.
The album won 4 Grammys, including Album of the Year, the first rock album to receive this honor. 1974, The Heimlich Maneuver, published in the Journal of Emergency Medicine. And finally, 1980, 35 years ago today, there was this.
Mike Ewer to New York. Good afternoon from the World Trade Center. Stand by. Ready, 3. Take 3. Mike Ewer. 3. Start to slow zoom in a little bit. Roll tape. Take 3. Ready, 13. Full. Ready, camera 3. 1 center up.
Good evening. I'm David Walker.
And I'm Lois Hart. Now here's the news. President Carter has arrived in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a brief visit with civil rights leader Vernon Jordan. Jordan is in serious but stable condition now at Parkview Hospital. He is recuperating from the gunshot wound suffered early Thursday morning. Police still have no solid lead.
Today in, 1925, Lou Gehrig inserted as a pinch hitter.
Yes.
And then went on to play 2,130 consecutive games. The streak started today. 90 years ago.
And it did not begin, as people think, begin because of Wally Pipp. He actually was a pinch runner, or pinch hitter, if I'm correct, for a player named Pee Wee Waniger. Then he comes in the next day and takes over for Wally Pipp, who had the quote-unquote headache. And well,
and Pipp kind of gets a bad rap out of the deal.
He was a good player.
He was a good player. The Yankees weren't having a great year. They wanted him to go a different direction, go with some youth. And, that's just... He was, and Gehrig was named the starter for the rest of the year, and that just was the way. And I think Pipp played like 6 more seasons. It wasn't like Gehrig took over and you never heard from Pipp again.
Yeah, 1925 was a weird year. That was the year, of course, of the bellyache heard round the world that Babe Ruth had, quote unquote, ate too many hot dogs, drank too much beer, all of that. But the Yankees were in a stretch where they didn't win the pennant in either 24 or 25 after winning in 21, 22, and 23. So they seem to get Ruth straightened out in the balance of 25, and then the dynasty really kicks off in 26.
Well, that is a look back in history. It's 11:20. I'm Donald Eng. That's Rob Adams. And now we go to sports.
And they go on and lose the World Series in 26. And the great trivia question only happened once in baseball history. The World Series ended on a caught stealing in 1926. When Babe Ruth inexplicably decided to try to steal second base in Game 7. Anyway, we dive into sports, and we've got a lot to talk about. So we start with some stuff from over the weekend. We'll go back to last Friday and, of course, talk about the big championship game at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. But first, from Bill Bloxham, host Trumbull High's boys lacrosse team defeated Shelton High 7-5 in a hard-fought, defensive-minded Class L state tournament qualifying round. That back on Friday night. The number 16 Eagles advanced to take on top-seeded Simsbury in the first round on Wednesday, June 3rd. The number 17 Gales saw its season end despite a valiant comeback effort. The Wilton High boys lacrosse team defeated Bunnell High 18-4 in a Class M state tournament qualifying round game on Saturday. The Bulldogs, the 14th seed and the SWC champs, finished the season with a 10-8 record. Wilton, the 19th seed, will take an 8-8 record into the first round as they take on third-seeded Berlin on Wednesday. Wilton took a 7-2 lead after one, led 15-2 at the half. Backed by home runs from Danny Nordic in the first inning and Jenna DiLorenzo in the third, Amity High Junior left-hander Katie Koshik struck out 15 and took a no-hitter into the seventh inning on Saturday as the number 5-seeded Spartans defeated number 2 Laurelton Hall 3-0 to win the SCC softball playoff title at Frank Biondi Field in West Haven. Now on to everything from Friday night and from over the weekend. We'll head back to Friday, then we'll dive into all of the playoff stuff going on today and a lot of postponements to talk about. We do not know the status, by the way, yet of the game that's to take place here in New Canaan today, but I can't see it happening. Anyway, what a brilliant baseball game we saw on Friday night at the ballpark at Harbor Yard down in Bridgeport as the FCAC championship between number 5 Wilton and number 2 Staples went to extra innings. Wilton was able to scratch for a run in the top of the 8th inning, and in the bottom of the 8th, J.T. Morin told me he was pitching on adrenaline, as you'll hear in a moment, but first he had to get one more out.
The following is a presentation of Hersam Acorn Radio. Hersam Acorn, the leader for local news and sports in Fairfield County.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Wilton. J.T. Morin trying to wrap up the title. The pitch on the inside corner, and the Wilton Warriors are the 2015 FCAC champions.
The following is a presentation of Hersam Acorn Radio. Hersam Acorn, the leader for local news and sports in Fairfield County.
The most valuable player, and I talked to this guy back on Monday, and I'm sure this doesn't get tiring for you. JT, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Best feeling in the world.
Take me through this game. First of all, how's your arm?
Fine right now, but I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to feel pretty good.
Now, I talked to you on Tuesday. How was your arm on Wednesday?
Very sore. All down my side was very sore, and the day after, but I did like 3 hours with the trainer today, and I came in feeling ready to go, and I felt great.
Were there moments that you were pitching on adrenaline, or what was going on out there?
Yeah, 7 and 8, I was definitely pitching on adrenaline. Started to feel my arm a little get tired, but I wasn't going to let that stop me.
How about being in this kind of a pitcher's duel? I mean, Latella gave you guys everything you could handle, but you guys didn't buckle.
We scraped 1 run in the 8th, and I just knew in the bottom of the 8th I was going to shut him down. I was confident enough in myself and my defense, and that's what we did.
And take me through that final at-bat. I can't even imagine never being in that kind of spot, the nerves, the emotions. What was going on there?
That last at-bat was definitely nerve-wracking. You get all the goosebumps and stuff, but after that last out, it was just the best feeling in the world and so much relief off my shoulders, and just now
player of the FCAC championship game in baseball on Friday night at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. 12 strikeouts. He struck out 26 over a week. No earned runs. The only run he allowed was unearned back on Tuesday. He only threw nearly 300 pitches. Just an average week for a young man, but a great job by the most valuable player and very humble in the victory. Now, as for all of these games that have been postponed, as of right now, the Stratford-New Canaan game has not been announced as a postponement, so I'm going to assume I have to plan to go broadcast the game, but I'm also going to assume it's going to get postponed. So let's go through what we have, and this is statewide, so bear with me. In baseball, Berlin at Bethel has been postponed, Brantford and Bristol Eastern, Sanbury and Glastonbury, St. Paul and East Hampton, Ellington and Prince Tech, Greenwich and Fairfield Ward, Maloney and New Fairfield, Southington, Manchester, Naugatuck at Stamford, Newington at Darien, Alex Hager gets the day off, New Milford at Newtown, Public Safety at Thomaston, Putnam at Portland, Ridgefield at Amity, Housatonic Valley hosting at SMSA. These are all postponed. St. Bernard at Trinity Catholic, St. Joe's at Woodland, so Jake Zimmer gets a break. Trumbull at Simsbury, Universal Classical Magnet at Tolland, and Xavier and Wilton all postponed. And I know I saw Norwalk was also postponed in their game. So you can imagine all these games are going to get moved to Wednesday, and it's just going to keep happening. Girls lacrosse, Brantford and New Fairfield have been postponed. Girls tennis, Avon and Woodstock Academy, that site has been changed to Pomfret. Plainville and Northwest Catholic, they have moved that site to the Farmington Racket Club. South Windsor and Darien, the site and the time have been changed to Chelsea Piers, and that's in Stamford at 2 o'clock indoors. Today's matches, well, you know, I can look at everything else and tell you that all this other stuff has been moved around. So a quick look at softball. They're all getting postponed. That's what I'm saying. They're all getting postponed. They'll continue to come in. We'll see if we have more for you in the second part of the show. But as for now, those are all the postponements. When I get more, I will let you know. I saw that Shelton will be announcing at 1 o'clock later today. Ram at E.O. Smith has been postponed to Tuesday at 3:30. So they just keep flying in. When we get more, we'll let you know. And, of course, Nutmeg Sports coming along at 2 o'clock. That's it for Sports for Now. With Sports, I'm Rob Adams. Coffee break time, 11:27.
You know, Rob, I'm kind of surprised that the FCAC Pigeon doesn't have a Twitter page up yet.
Well, I think we need to be the driving force behind that.
I am, too.
Someone should get a hold of that guy. Say, let's go.
If you did not meet the FCAC Pigeon on Friday night,
so much fun.
You've missed an opportunity there. We do believe, though, that the FCAC Pigeon and Pontouf the Cat will have a new show very soon.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
All right. Well, getting back to some news in the area today, Ansonia officials are considering extending the ban on sexually oriented businesses within 1,000 feet of a church or school, or within 500 feet of a residence to include parks and public buildings, according to the Valley Indy. The proposed ordinance would also require adult bookstores, strip clubs, and escort agencies to be licensed annually by the city. The measure, based on a law in the town of Berlin that has survived court challenges, is before the Board of Aldermen, according to the Valley Indy. Right now, there are no adult businesses in Ansonia. And maybe with this ordinance, they might never come there.
Well, with this ordinance also, I can see some entrepreneur out there. I was like, well, wait a second. Now that's an open territory now.
There you go, right.
More than half of state residents polled disapprove of Governor Dan Malloy's job performance in a new poll released Wednesday. The poll, by Mason-Dixon Polling and Research, was conducted May 18th to May 20th by calling 625 voters registered in the state on both landlines and cell phones. The poll found 52% of those surveyed found Malloy's performance lacking, while 87% of registered Republicans disapproved of his performance, 51% of non-affiliated voters, and 33% of his Democratic base expressing their disapproval, according to Mason-Dixon. The margin of error was plus or minus 4%. Malloy was reelected to a second term in November with a 50.7% margin against Tom Foley, who received 48.2% of the vote. Coffee break time, 11:29.
Thanks, Don. Well, police arrested a Milford man on Sunday for allegedly stabbing tires of cars in a parking lot near the beach and then biting a person. Police said the incident took place around 7 o'clock at 175 Broadway in Milford. They say Michael Amatrudo, 57 years old, of High Street, was stabbing vehicle tires in a parking lot and also bit a person and threatened to harm others at the scene. Police said they also found a sword inside Amatrudo's vehicle. He was charged with assault, threatening, criminal mischief, having weapons in a motor vehicle, breach of peace, and attempted assault. He was held in police custody on a $100,000 bond.
What is it with Milford and ridiculous crimes involving obscure and strange weapons? If you remember the naked intruder from a few years ago, who was found to have a weapon in his car also because he had nunchucks.
Nunchucks, right?
And
who actually has those?
Well, and who uses nunchucks naked? That is an accident waiting to happen.
Oh boy. All right, Don. Why don't you get back to traffic and weather right now?
I got nothing.
We've got delays in Stamford at I-95 southbound at exit 9. That's U.S. Route 1. Not sure what is causing the backup, but it is delays there according to the DOT. Also, we still have that road work in Newtown, 84 eastbound at exit 9 until 3 o'clock today. The left lane closed. As far as the weather goes, we've got a flash flood watch in effect through tomorrow night. According to the National Weather Service, rainfall rates as high as 2 to 3 inches per hour are possible, which would cause flash flooding in urban areas and areas of poor drainage. These rainfall rates and the ground being saturated from heavy rain over the last day could also cause streams and small rivers to go over their banks. And that, of course, means that today's forecast, showers and possibly thunderstorms throughout the day. Highs only in the 50s. The rain could be heavy at times, as the National Weather Service has warned us. More of the same tonight and tomorrow night before it finally clears out on Wednesday. John Kovach liked my nunchuck comment.
Oh, good.
So hopefully his
Is he live tweeting the show?
I think he is. His conference call apparently over. Coffee break time, 11:31.
We love you, John. But we are going to take a break, and we're going to come back. Since we're in the New Canaan office, we're going to bring on Michael Katarivas to talk about the very dramatic and interesting police commission hearings that he's been covering here. So that and a lot more is coming up on your coffee break after this.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersamsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
It's 11:34 on your coffee break on HANradio.com. I'm Kate Czaplinski at the New Canaan office with Don Eng, Rob Adams, the rest of our crew hanging out and helping here. And we're joined now by Michael Katarivas of the New Canaan Advertiser. Michael, welcome back.
Thank you.
We've had you on before, and we've had you on before to talk about the first session you covered in this police commission hearing on Sergeant John Milligan. It's a hearing on whether or not he should be fired, basically for having his ex-wife on the insurance, on his town insurance.
Correct.
And so Friday was the second session of that.
Yes, the second long session. And actually, it was the third session.
Okay.
They had a first session that nobody kind of went to because nobody knew about it. When the internal affairs investigation leader testified for, I think, 2 hours. So that was technically the first one. And then there were 2 7-hour sessions, of which Friday was the last one so far. And
Fun thing to do on a Friday.
There are more to come.
Oh, boy. Well, you got some audio from the commission hearing, and we're going to play that right now just to give you guys an idea.
it's self-evident.
You know what, I'm going to object again. Every time...
What's the basis?
Well, I want to put something on the record. Every time today, maybe not every time, maybe 90% of the time, that I've made an objection or question a line that Attorney Dugas is going under, or when Attorney Dugas is questioning a line that I'm going under. Attorney Depew is either laugh, snicker, sigh, or put his face in it.
I would object
So,
to
wait,
that
let me finish making the record. So I would question how he can consider himself to be fair and impartial if every time a question is asked or an issue is raised between two competent attorneys, I don't think there's any question about that, that he feels it's appropriate for him to snicker or put his face in his hands or raise some other question.
I understand it on the record, and I do note it, and it's not the matter of the proceedings today. So
it is a matter of proceedings today because it's a question whether or not he's going to get a fair and impartial hearing with the gentleman who's sitting here who snickers every time that I try to defend my client.
Coming back, once again, John, I think the question that has been raised is whether you made a statement when interrogated earlier, you made a statement today. Could you help us to reconcile those two?
Wow. Sounds interesting. Now, tell us a little bit about what was happening in that clip.
Well, the three police commissioners are the judges, basically, and they sit in the front, so they're kind of front and center, like judges would be. And I noticed it myself. One of the judges, the commissioner, Sperry DeQ, who's a lawyer himself, he was he would make a lot of gestures, negative gestures, that he didn't agree with something, or he would turn away, or he would put his hands up in the air a little bit. The defense lawyer was correct. I mean, I just thought, well, he's doing what he's doing. It's not like it's on court TV or anything, but I mean, it could have an effect on other witnesses who are going to testify. I mean, he was making it quite known that he wasn't agreeing with much that was going on regarding the defense. And at some point, that Eric Brown, who's the defense union leader attorney, decided to say something and put it on the record officially that he was very upset with what he was doing.
Right. And
he confronted him, and I took a picture of it. He was pointing at him, and Stuart Sarbini, who is the commission chairman, calmed things down, but not before Brown had his say, and told him he was very unhappy. It goes to show that, I mean, it would seem that Sperry DeQ, who's one of the judges, is obviously not buying too many of the arguments that the defense is making. So, he didn't have to show it as obviously as he did, but, it was what it was, so.
Now, Michael, what is the defense saying about this? I mean, Milligan had his ex-wife on the insurance plan. What are they saying about that?
Neither side contests the fact that Milligan had his ex-wife inappropriately on town insurance for close to 4 years. They both agree that did happen. And now it's a case of what should happen now. Milligan's side is trying to show that the higher-ups in town, including the police chief and the first selectman, had it in for him because he was and still is, the president of the police union. And there were very contentious negotiations last year, and it was shown and agreed to by both sides that there were underhanded methods in the negotiations. And Milligan, basically, as the president of the union, took a lot of heat for this. So his side is trying to show that it's more to it than just an insurance issue, that there might have been I wouldn't go so far as say a conspiracy, but they wanted him out if they could. So they're trying to show that there's more to it than just the pure insurance issue. And the town, on the other hand, is trying to say basically that, through their attorney, that it's purely an issue of Milligan not taking his ex-wife off the insurance. It cost the town $33,000 in premiums that they shouldn't have paid, and that he should be terminated purely for that reason. And so they're kind of going back and forth. Well, they're not going back and forth. The town is basically saying there's nothing past that issue that should be decided or should be a factor. And Milligan's lawyers is pretty effectively calling out a lot of these people who were testifying and saying they were ulterior motives. And that's the way it's gone, and it's continuing to go. And so it's still a continuing process. But when you see one of the commissioners obviously scoffing at the defense, that's
yeah, you think you'd put on a poker face or something.
Yeah, it's
Jeez.
not a good sign. And there was also a major point came out on Friday, which was also not a good sign for Milligan, which was when the defense attorney was trying to again bring up points that might have looked bad for the town, trying to get Milligan off the job, and the town attorney Dugas was objecting to all these points, saying it's irrelevant. And then the commission chairman, Soabini, spoke up and said, he basically said, I agree that all those points are irrelevant. So it was a blow for the defense to hear that. I mean, because it's basically everything that they're trying to show. Soabini was saying is not going to be considered when we make a decision. So I mean, that's where it stands now. But I mean, there's an awful lot of side issues going on, and as a matter of fact, the defense wants to call 2 witnesses, including the chief of police's wife.
Wow.
And the chief of police's friend, because those 2 women were responsible for the town finding out that Milligan's ex-wife was indeed on the insurance rolls. And just this morning in Stamford Court, they met, and the judge ruled, from what I understand, I'm not 100% sure, I wasn't there, that these women will have to testify. And they both showed up with their own lawyers to try to quash the subpoenas. And from what I understand, the judge basically said that the town has kind of overstepped its boundaries a little bit, by trying to keep some of this information public or non-public. So it's almost like it's an expanding case.
Wow.
And we'll see what happens next, but it's pretty intense.
When is the next hearing going to be?
The next hearing is June 13th. It was almost comical at the end of the last hearing on Friday. Soabini took out his schedule. Everyone's taken out their schedules, and he says, "Okay, let's meet on Tuesday." And somebody says, "No, I have a graduation." Let's meet on Thursday. No, I'm going on vacation. They were trying to move into July, and they were actually looking into a Saturday session. How about Saturday? Wow. And then how about a night session?
Oh
and they finally came up with a 4-hour 5 to 9 session on the 13th of June, and then the 23rd they said, this has to come to an end. We're going to have a 14-hour session on the 23rd to see if we can bring it to a close.
Wow.
And he's on paid leave, John Milligan is, but the town has a very easy case because they're just saying he was on the insurance rolls, and she was illegally on the insurance, and he should be fired. And the defense has a very complex case with many various defenses they're trying to put forth, so that takes time. And the people I subpoenaed who were supposed to be at Friday's session didn't show up, like the chief's wife and this other woman and another gentleman, also, who's has a lot of information. He didn't want to show up either. So there's a lot more lawyers involved, and it's really quite an interesting case.
It just seems like it's just going to get more and more dramatic, especially now that the chief's wife has to testify.
Well, that's what I understood from today. So I didn't get clear knowledge of it, but it's just like it would seem like she's going to. But you know what? It's Soabini basically played his hand. He's the chief of the police commissioner, the chief, and he basically was said on Friday several times that all the issues they're trying to raise for his defense are irrelevant, and that it doesn't matter how they got their information. The information is valid, and so it doesn't matter who was thinking what.
Right.
And the first selectman just today sent the newspaper a letter complaining about the treatment from the newspaper. Said that the newspaper owes the town an apology because I pointed out in a previous story that the 3 commissioners are appointed by the first selectman, and the first selectman is the lead negotiator on the contract negotiations last year. So he was clashing with Milligan because Milligan was the president of the police union. So there could have you could have put two and two together and thought that, well, those two gentlemen aren't getting along too well.
Right.
And now Milligan is being judged by three men who were appointed to those positions. And I just pointed it out. I didn't say that they're incapable of judging him. I just said that that's the fact, you know. And the first selectman took offense to that and said that, you know, I shouldn't be casting aspersions on them, and that, in fact, the town council, I think, has to okay anyone he puts up for those positions. And so there'll be a letter in the paper this week from the first selectman expressing his views on what's going on.
And will there be an apology from the Canadian Advertiser?
No, there's no apology. We'll just we'll print the letter as is. You know, I could, but we won't. I could refute his points because I have it. I recorded his. You know, when I'm for something serious like this, I try to record as much as possible, and I have it recorded that he specifically told me, and I printed that he appointed these three judges. So he's kind of like trying to technically show that, well, I may have like appointed them, but they have to be okayed by the town council. I'm not sure if it's the town council, one of the government organizations. So you know, I think he's just trying to like I don't know, muddy the waters a little bit that way.
Well, it seems like that's essentially what the plan has been all along, to kind of muddy the waters. Because first of all, I'm thinking to myself, with these 14-hour sessions where like all these lawyers gathered, by now it has to have far exceeded the value of the insurance policy that was admittedly mishandled. And then the other thing is, I kind of find myself putting myself in the place of one of the commissioners, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I get the first selectman doesn't like you. I get it. The chief's wife doesn't like you. Fine. You still did it, and you admit you did it.
Right. So all this could be for nothing. Yeah.
Milligan does admit that his ex-wife was on the insurance, but no one, even the town admits that there was nothing to be gained by it. His ex-wife was insured in the Danbury school system at the same time, so she would have had no use for the insurance. She has testified in a document that she had no knowledge that she was even on the insurance rolls here, and so it's kind of what they're trying to show. You know, the main point they're trying to prove the town is that Milligan knew that his ex-wife was on insurance improperly. Because if they can prove that, then obviously Milligan did something wrong and could be terminated. They haven't really been able to prove that at all. And Milligan is saying that he testified on Friday, which I'll hopefully have some of that recording online soon, that he didn't know his wife was still on there, and even though he had gone online and seen his account, and his wife's name is on the account, so they were kind of going back and forth. Well, if your ex-wife's name is on the account and you are online and seeing the account, it would seem to show that you should know that she's on there. So that's the town's argument. You know, the thing is also they want to. I keep trying to ask both sides, couldn't there be a compromise of some sort? You know, couldn't he be, he's offered to pay the money back. Couldn't he be suspended? Couldn't he be demoted? But not, you know, he's been on the force for 15 years. So he's never had any negative disciplinary measures as far as I know. But the town is adamant, the chief is adamant that no, he must be terminated. He must lose his job over this. And so they've offered to let him resign. You know, and if he resigned, this wouldn't be a matter of his public record, so he could maybe go serve as a policeman somewhere else. But you know, he's fighting it.
Well, Michael, it's such an interesting story. There is so much on it at ncadvertiser.com. I know you're going to keep covering it. You've done a great job. So thanks for coming on and talking to us about it today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break and be back with more news after this on your coffee break.
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332. And online at stratfordsmile.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the Knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
It's easy to advertise on HANradio.com. Reach 263,000 listeners each month with our sports programming and talk programming. Call Marianne Hersam at 203-417-5199.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
Back here on Coffee Break, it is 11:51. Coffee Break presented by Stratford Orthodontics. From the New Canaan office, we're going to turn it over to Rob Adams now. Rob, the weather's not looking any better. I suspect you're about to tell us a whole lot of things that we're not going to see today.
We are going to see a whole lot of things not happen, but we don't know the status for sure of New Canaan yet in their game with Stratford. It has not been determined. A couple of schools are going to wait until 1 o'clock to make their announcement. Perhaps New Canaan will be one of them. As soon as we know, we'll let you know, and certainly we'll talk about it on Coffee Break at 2. We know the following, and we know this more importantly. Sandberry is not playing today, and neither is Danbury, Don.
Sandberry? What's a Sandberry?
It's as good as a schnozberry.
Tastes like a Sandberry.
Yeah, folks, you read through a list and you have those Ron Burgundy type of moments. So long as the words are clean, you go ahead and you read them. Well, in this case, Danbury became Sandberry in the list I was reading. In any event, Abbott Tech and East Catholic postponed. Berlin and Bethel postponed. These are baseball games. Brantford, Bristol Eastern, Bristol Central and Norwalk, Danbury and Glastonbury postponed. Derby and Coventry, East Hampton and St. Paul, Ellis Tech and Norwich Tech, Ellington and Prince Tech have been postponed. Foreign and Watertown, Greenwich and Fairfield Ward, Maloney and New Fairfield, Manchester, Southington, Naugatuck at Stamford, Newington at Darien. As I said before, Alex Hager gets the day off. New Milford and Newtown, Plainville and Northwestern, Public Safety and Thomaston, Putnam and Portland, Ridgefield at Amity, SMSA at Housatonic Valley, St. Bernard at Trinity Catholic, St. Joe's and Woodland also postponed. Trumbull and Trimsbury, Snosbury, Simsbury. Trumbull at Simsbury postponed. University, Classical Magnet at Tolland, Weathersfield at Notre Dame of West Haven, Xavier and Wilton, and I'm seeing something come across right now.
I just
Let's
saw Coggeshall and Windsor Locks postponed.
Coggeshall and Windsor
Hall
Locks.
and Hand postponed.
All right, there you go. From girls lacrosse, Brantford and New Fairfield postponed. A couple of tennis matches in girls tennis have been moved, including South Windsor and Darien. That's been moved to Chelsea Pier at 2 in Stamford. You mentioned Coventry and Weston, as well as in softball, Fairfield, Ludlow, and Newington, and any other locals that I can spot. Staples and Trumbull also have been postponed.
And I see old buddy Paul Silverfarb has just tweeted Greenwich also postponed. Greenwich at NFA has been postponed.
Okay, so there we go on that one. So they're going to keep coming through, I would imagine, over the next hour or two. By the time we hit Nutmeg Sports, if there's anything more to talk about, we'll certainly let you know, but we figured we'd keep it short as we begin to wrap up your Monday coffee break. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Coffee break time, 11:55.
Thanks, Rob. Just getting back to a little news today. Police say a 10-year-old Connecticut boy hid in a bedroom after someone broke into his home in Hamden. Police say a man who knew the homeowner forced his way into the Belmont Street house through a back door on Wednesday and broke into a safe holding jewelry and a large amount of cash. WTNH reported that 31-year-old Derek Hoover of New Haven was arrested and charged with second-degree burglary, 6th-degree larceny, and interfering with police. He was held on 3 outstanding warrants on a $25,000 bail on the new charges and a total of $200,000 for the warrants. Terrible, scary situation.
I was going to say that kid must have been terrified.
Oh my gosh. Can't imagine.
Well, the town of Preston is exploring options to get rid of a gaggle of Canada geese who call the Milton Green Memorial Park their summer home, according to NBC Connecticut. The Parks and Recreation Department said the geese have become a health concern, and youth soccer teams have had to cancel games due to the amount of goose droppings. The Board of Selectmen is considering hiring a dog handler to use a border collie to scare off the geese. The town is also exploring a goose repellent called Flight Control, which the company's website says is not harmful to geese or other species and leaves no odor. Hiring a dog handler would cost about $10,000, and the spray would cost up to $5,000. And that's just that just reminds me, that's my pet peeve. Everyone has their pet peeve. The people that hang out in parks and feed the geese. It's like stop.
They're not cute. Don't feed them.
They're nasty.
We only feed cute animals.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. See exactly. If it's a spider, we don't. Spiders. We drop phone books on them. You say sorry.
Hey, I like spiders. They eat the other bugs.
You should have been furrier and cuter. Evolution's tough.
Oh, Don. You're
yes.
the best. All right. Well, the day after a lifeguard reported someone disappeared after going underwater off Dawson Avenue Beach in West Haven, police and firefighters have ended their search and said no one has been reported missing. NBC Connecticut reports that the U.S. Coast Guard is investigating and will request help from agencies as necessary. Authorities said they received a call around 3 o'clock on Sunday reporting that a person who was swimming alone had been missing for at least half an hour. The lifeguard reportedly saw a swimmer approximately 800 feet offshore. They monitored their swimming because of the distance, and they were away with binoculars and saw the swimmer go under and not come back up. Officials from the Coast Guard said on Monday that they searched extensively and found some pink balloons, but no person. The West Shore Fire District urged residents to check on their loved ones on Sunday in an effort to identify who the missing swimmer could be. As of Monday morning, police said they received no reports of anyone missing, and they found no abandoned vehicles or discarded items that would lead them to believe that someone is in fact missing. Don, anything change out there on the roads?
The roads have actually stabilized in the last few minutes. Hang on one second. Let me just see if I can pop the DOT's website up while we're sitting here. We still have the road work in Newtown 84 eastbound at exit 9 until 3 o'clock. The left lane is closed there. There's also delays in Westport Parkway southbound at exit 41. That's the Route 33 Wilton Road. And finally, Stamford delays 95 southbound, as we just mentioned that due to the road work there. And checking the weather, flash flood watch in effect until 8 p.m. tomorrow. According to the National Weather Service, rain could fall as heavily as 2 to 3 inches per hour at times. That could cause flash flooding in urban areas and poor drainage areas. The heavy rain and the saturated ground from the heavy rain over the last day could cause streams and small rivers to go over their banks. So heavy rain off and on throughout today, tomorrow, and tomorrow night, finally clearing out again on Wednesday. Right now, outside our New Canaan studio, it is a cloudy and drizzly 53 degrees, 55 in Fairfield, 52 in Ridgefield. Coffee break time, 11:58.
Thanks, Don. Rob, Nutmeg Sports today?
Nutmeg Sports at 2. Among those we'll have on will be Tim Murphy of the Wilton Bulletin Ridgefield Press as we begin to preview what's coming up in the state. Hopefully Chris Callen is going to drop by as he had some Little League baseball he was watching over the weekend. He got us some audio from that, so should be a busy show coming up at 2.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Well, and I do want to mention coming up on tomorrow's coffee break, we'll be back in the Shelton studio, and we're going to have on Scarlett Lewis, who is the mother of Jesse Lewis, who was killed in the Sandy Hook school shooting. She's going to talk about the organization she started in his memory and an event that they have coming up. So we're really looking forward to that discussion tomorrow. But that's going to do it for today's coffee break. For Don and Rob and everyone else, have a great afternoon.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on Twitter at Hersam Radio, on Facebook at Hersam Acorn Radio, or email us at radio@hersamacorn.com.
Micro Live is now next. 4, play 5, 5, 4, 3.